Time for a high and low quick bite. I'm Ike Amaechi, and I'm here with Ugo, Sean Khan, Stephen Leslie, and Mitch Orsatti. Maybe it's just me, but a good portion of the talk around the NBA in this young season has been focused on point guards. What will Steph Curry look like without Clay? What's Kyrie's role next to KD and Harden going to look like in Brooklyn? Will LaMelo Ball live up to the hype? Does Westbrook improve the Wizards? Does John Wall improve the Rockets? Lillard and CP3 and on and on and on. And it just seems to be point guard chatter. So with this focus on the talent at the one, I immediately start thinking of the top 5, the top 10, like where do these guys rank? So with all these names in mind and many more, who in your opinion is the best point guard in the league today? Why don't we start off with Sean?
All the pressure. Who is the best point guard? When I was making my notes for the show, I answered all of the other questions associated with this topic, and I didn't actually think about who the best point guard in the NBA was. So it's like truly putting me on the spot.
So you didn't answer all the questions.
Exactly. I didn't answer the main question. I answered all like the sub questions.
Just gonna say.
Man, yeah. I mean, there's only one.
Well, let's start off with this. Like, first of all, what attributes should a great point guard possess?
Okay. So I'll start with that, and then I'll tell you who I think the best point guard in the NBA is after that. So like point guards in the 90s were measured in a way different way than they are nowadays, right? Like the best point guard in the 90s would average like 15 and 10. And I think like recently there was, the top 3 scorers in the league were all point guards. So what we grew up thinking what the skills of great point guards should possess is not necessarily what they possess, or the prioritization of the skills has changed. So I think nowadays it seems like scoring and more specifically shooting seems to be the greatest attribute of a point guard. But those of us that know basketball know that's not necessarily the case, and we know what it takes to win. A great point guard should obviously be a great passer, have the ability to break defenses down off of the dribble and dish to the open man. Even though he may not always get an assist out of it, maybe it's a hockey assist, maybe the shooter gets fouled. I think it's the intangible traits that separate the great point guards that play winning basketball and the point guards that play scoring basketball. It's the ability to be a court general, to lead your team, and to get the best out of your teammates. And, that could be recognizing how to put them in the best position to score, or maybe it's directing traffic or barking instructions. I think the prototypical guy for this is Chris Paul. We've seen Lowry has some of that. Steph has some of it. LeBron and Luka have it. But after that, this seems to be kind of like a dying trait amongst point guards, or at least dying amongst the ones that are dropping 30 a game. So I would say the court intangibles are the most important trait of a great point guard.
Okay. And so do you think CP3 is the best point guard in the league?
I'm gonna say Steph Curry is the best point guard in the league.
All right. Steven, what about you? What do you think?
So listen, I think the only thing a point guard really needs is vision. So you should be able to see the move that you're going to do, the next move team-wise, and then what's going to happen, what can happen, what will happen, and how the other team adjusts. So to me, it's Steph Curry is the best point guard in the NBA, and I don't think it's close. Because if you try to plan around it, he just creates chaos and launches something deep. I think the other day I saw 2 guys came from the left, 1 guy's right in front of him. He kind of hesitated to the left, went down in the middle. Then you have the other 2 guys on the team, and he still managed to fake pass to the right and then still scored. And I'm like, see, all this is because he could just launch it from back there. Yeah. But if he wanted to, he could have passed it to because I named 5 defenders. He could have passed it to the other 4 guys on his team to get an assist and score, right? So he can do here, there, and everywhere. So, yeah, I think he's the best point guard in the league. And
that's a really good point, because it's like he creates all these options simultaneously with a couple of moves.
Yeah. You got guys like Trae Young, who I feel like Trae Young's trying to imitate him, but it doesn't work because Trae Young's only like shooting threes. Like if Steph wants to, not the greatest defender, but he can rack up steals, and I've seen it. He's very sneaky.
Yeah.
He's not the biggest, strongest guy, so when he does elevate and dunk, you're like, oh my god. But he's a pretty smart guy. I don't know who else is physical in the NBA that's close. Chris Paul here and there. But my thing with Chris Paul is when I was younger, watching Chris Paul and Darren Williams, I always had Darren Williams as the better point guard. So that
Same.
time when Darren Williams fell off, Chris Paul was there, but Curry came, and Curry was like, "No, this is my time." So that's why I acknowledge Chris Paul, but it's Curry.
Yeah, I think Curry he dispelled all that stuff when he put Chris Paul on the floor, had him playing what's the name of that game?
Twister. Yeah.
In the middle of an NBA game. Oh, that's unfortunate. But yeah, man. Mitch.
Yeah, I also have Steph as the best point guard in the NBA for many of the reasons that were already listed. And I'll just echo a couple. Like, a great point guard needs to be able to read the floor and see where every defender is, what way they're leaning, who's sagging in coverage. And then I think most important thing on top of having that vision is having the determination and the ability to pounce instantaneously. Like, that's, I think, what makes Steph special is he's making all these reads and he knows he can throw it to whoever, kind of like a jazz band leader, almost like a virtuoso, you know? It's like, he's like, I can go to this guy's solo, I can go to this, or I can finish it myself. And he knows when to make that decision and that he can make it whenever he needs to. So sometimes he's like, you know what? I don't have to. I'm going to do something that no one is expecting, like Steven said, and just create some chaos.
Yeah.
But I think shooting is like, you still got to have it if you're a point guard in today's NBA, because if you don't, then you can't run the pick and roll, and then you're just that much easier to guard, right?
Yeah, it's true. I think you don't have an opportunity to open up the floor, and just as we mentioned earlier, being able to create opportunities or options for your teammates with slight movement.
Yep.
And even just having that threat of an outside shot. It just, oh my goodness, KCP just hit. Okay, anyway, let's move on.
Yo, I thought you turned it off.
I know I did. I turned off the sound.
Oh,
all right. So you go. Save it the best for last, man. I never know where you're gonna go with these.
No, come on now. There's no special. It's Curry, right?
Okay.
Like there's been a long debate over what a point guard should be, who should it be, what should they do. Curry's just come along and he's just advanced the position far beyond anybody's imagination. You have your traditional guys that call the plays and make the fancy passes. You have the guys that, want to shoot at high volume, Ian Iverson, and just rack up points and whatnot. But he does both so effortlessly now. So, when he comes down the court, you're not just worried about one thing or two things. It's like 4, 5, 6 things. And then when you think you've planned for all of that, he throws the 7th one out there at you, Your point guard should have, handles, should have great decision making, should be a critical thinker, should have a high basketball IQ, should be able to foster productive relationships with their players and coaches, should be able to flip back and forth between pass first and shoot first, should be able to collaborate with other people. And Curry just checks all those boxes. And the most important thing that he has that a lot of these other point guards don't have is the respect. He's gone out, he's earned it. He's been knocked every single which of the way until he got to the top of the mountain. And then people recognized, damn, this kid is nice, right? Like, and I'm actually surprised because everybody talks about all these things, but let's talk about recency. There was a game just, a couple of days ago, and it was Steph versus AD. And it was just like cross, step back, boom, 3 in your eye. How do you defend that? Right? AD is like what, 7 foot? Hands up, maybe. Okay. Hands up, over 7. Over 10. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And he just put it over him, and it wasn't even like rattle. It was just, that's all you heard. That's it. And walk away like it was like, I did it 105 times in practice. You know what I mean? So until somebody gets to that level, and I honestly don't think you're going to see anybody get to that level for a long, long time. It's Curry. And anybody who says it's not, I mean, they're sniffing Curry, that's for sure.
The casuals.
Yes, the casuals.
As Sean would say.
Yes.
All right. It's a clean sweep. Steph across the board. This doesn't happen that often, so let's take it in and enjoy. I'm going to put the applause track in post. But anyway, that has been another High and Low Quick Bite. Look for new Quick Bites every week on this YouTube channel, along with other bonus content you won't find on the official weekly podcast. So like, comment, and subscribe. And thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.